I broke into a rich woman's house hoping to steal some cash, but I completely lost it inside her trash pile mansion. As a neat freak thief with six-pack abs, I couldn't help cleaning her place all afternoon. I left a note calling her a slob, then took $1,895 as my cleaning fee. But the second I picked up my bowl at a noodle shop, the cops grabbed me by the shoulder. Unexpectedly, Yeji signed a forgiveness letter on the spot, then started asking me out every day. Every single time she fought to pay the bill until that glass of red wine slid down my throat. When I opened my eyes the next morning, I finally realized I had already fallen right into her hands. My name is Zhang Wei. I make a living with one skill, picking locks. But I've never used that skill for anything honest. Back home, my mom depends on medicine every day, and the little money I make each month is nowhere near enough to fill that bottomless hospital pit. When life pushes you to the edge of a cliff, who still has the energy to worry about dignity? This time, my target was Unit 1704 in a luxury apartment building on the west side. The owner, Yeji. Her skin was fair, her features were gorgeous, and even her name sounded cold and otherworldly. I watched her for 2 full weeks. Her routine was as precise as an alarm clock, 9 to 6. A textbook office worker. This kind of target was loaded and low risk, basically the perfect sheep for me to fleece. Today was the day to close the net. I followed her to the entrance and watched her graceful figure turn into the underground garage. I counted a full 10 minutes in my head. Once I was sure she wouldn't come back, I lowered my cap. Then I casually went upstairs. My tool slid smoothly into the lock. I flicked my wrist a few times, and with a crisp click, the door opened. I slipped inside, shut the door behind me, and the whole move was smooth as water. The next second, a bizarre mix of rotten takeout, sour, unwashed clothes, and leftover perfume hit me straight in the face. I froze at the entryway, almost wondering if I had picked the wrong lock and walked into a garbage transfer station. I know a lot of young people's homes are kind of messy these days, but to reach this level, I, Zhang Wei, have seen a lot in my line of work, but this was a first. Clothes were piled into a mountain on the couch. I couldn't even tell which ones were still clean, and which ones had already been worn dirty. Takeout boxes were stacked shakily on the coffee table, with unfinished food inside. Some were already growing mold. There was nowhere to step on the floor, snack bags, makeup bottles, and torn-up delivery boxes everywhere. I seriously wondered if she never walked in her own home and just floated around like a fairy. Was this really the home of the goddess named Yeji? Where was the goddess energy? Did the air in here absorb it all? What little professional discipline I had was instantly drowned by pure physical discomfort. The clean freak in my bones could not handle a place this filthy. A nameless rage started rising in my chest. Such a nice place. Great layout, expensive decor. How did she manage to turn it into a pigsty? Fine, you win. Stealing could wait. If I didn't clean this place up, I couldn't even find a decent spot to stand and rob her. If word got out, it would embarrass our entire profession. I dropped my tool bag by the door, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. And just like that, I worked until 4:30 in the afternoon. Me, Zhang Wei, a decent-looking six-pack thief built from years of hard work, was sweating like crazy in Yeji mansion, working as an unpaid housekeeper. I took out trash, wiped tables, mopped floors, and sorted all those expensive-looking clothes. Anything that needed hanging got hung. Anything that needed washing got sent to wash. The dishes soaking in the kitchen sink were basically growing mushrooms, and the makeup bottles on the bathroom counter were all over the place. I cursed in my head while I worked. This job was more exhausting than picking 10 locks. By the time I finally tied up the last trash bag, dusk had already fallen outside. I looked at the living room, now completely transformed. The floor was so clean it reflected people. Everything was neatly organized, and the air only carried a faint lemon scent from the cleaner. I let out a long breath, and a ridiculous sense of achievement rose inside me. Man, I was exhausted, absolutely wiped out. I slipped into her bedroom, hoping to find something valuable. There were some scattered cash and jewelry in the bedside drawer. After digging around, there wasn't much cash. Altogether, it was $1,895. Holding that stack of cash, I finally felt a little more balanced. Fine, I'll just count this as my labor fee, even though it's nowhere near enough for the work I did. I found a sticky note and left her a message in what I thought was pretty stylish handwriting. You have such a nice home. How did you turn it into this? Even I, a thief, couldn't stand it. I started cleaning when you went to work, and it took me all day to finish. I'm seriously dead tired. I'll take the loose cash in the drawer as my payment. If you really don't have time, hire a cleaner. I slapped that note, full of anger and professional concern, onto the coffee table. Then I pocketed the $1,895 cleaning fee, grabbed my tool bag, and left the battlefield where I had fought all day. Yeji dragged her nearly broken body back to her front door. Work had been especially hectic today, and she felt completely drained. All she wanted was to kick off her heels and bury herself in that soft pile of clothes. She inserted the key, turned it gently, and with a crisp click, the door opened. But the familiar smell of overnight takeout mixed with perfume didn't rush toward her like she expected. Instead, there was a cool, fresh hint of lemon. Yeji's foot froze midair. Is this my home? Like she'd been shocked by electricity, she pulled her foot back and looked up suspiciously to check the door number. 17004. No mistake, this is my dump. Wait, no, this is my royal sanctuary. She carefully leaned half her body inside again, and her eyes suddenly went wide. The floor that had once been swallowed by junk was now spotless. It even clearly reflected her stunned, slightly blank face. The mountain of clothes on the couch had vanished, revealing the textured fabric underneath. The coffee table? Oh my god! She had almost forgotten her coffee table was made of clear glass. She tiptoed inside like a tourist entering a palace for the first time, afraid she might dirty this strangely familiar sacred ground. She lowered her voice and gasped, "Oh my god!" Everywhere she looked, there was cleanliness, there was order. She rushed into the bedroom, and the bed that used to be a disaster was now perfectly made. Even the folds in the blanket looked carefully designed. With trembling fingers, she opened the closet. The clothes inside were sorted by color and season, hanging flawlessly. Even her cartoon print panties and sexy lace ones had been neatly folded into their own storage compartments. They smelled fresh, like sunshine mixed with laundry detergent. She let out a gasp and covered her cheeks, feeling a wave of heat shoot from her feet to the top of her head. The kitchen was even more unbelievable. The stove was shining and the range hood reflected her face, which looked adorably frozen from shock. The mountain of dishes in the sink had disappeared, and the drying rack was neat and clean. Did a cleaning fairy show up? Or was some guy from work secretly in love with me and trying to impress me? Wait, there are only 2 keys. One is with me. The other one is... Just as her brain CPU was about to overload, her eyes landed on the overly clean coffee table in the living room. A sticky note stood out immediately. She walked over, picked it up, and the handwriting was actually pretty stylish. "You have such a nice home. How did you turn it into this? Even I, a thief, couldn't stand it. I started cleaning when you went to work. It took me all day. I'm seriously dead tired. I'll take the $1,000+ in your drawer as my payment. If you really don't have time, hire a cleaner." "A thief?" Yejikyu snapped back to reality and rushed into the bedroom. She yanked open the bedside drawer and sure enough, the loose cash was gone. A chill shot from her feet to the top of her head. A thief had broken in. But what was wrong with this thief? He didn't touch the expensive jewelry or electronics, only took less than $2 grand in cash. Then he gave her a full, no dead corners, deep clean, and even thoughtfully left a note lecturing her. Wasn't there something seriously wrong with this plot? She suddenly remembered the tiny camera hidden inside the plant in the living room. She quickly pulled out her phone and checked the footage. Fast forward, then fast forward again. In the video, a tall, well-built man skillfully opened her door not long after she left. Yejikyu's heart tightened. There he is. But after the man came in, his reaction was exactly the same as hers had been. He clearly froze. The camera even caught the flash of shock on his face, along with some indescribable sense of mental collapse. Then the absurd scene began. He didn't immediately start rummaging for valuables. Instead, he stood there with his hands on his hips, trying to breathe through the sight of her pigsty. Then, as if he'd made some major decision, he placed a small bag by the door. And after that, the camera faithfully recorded a live broadcast that could only be called a miracle in the cleaning industry. Taking out trash, wiping tables, mopping floors, sorting clothes. His movements were clean, quick, and careful. Especially when she saw him on camera, brows furrowed, carefully hand-washing the intimate little items she'd tossed around, including those lace panties. Yejikyu's face instantly flushed all the way to her ears. This was way too embarrassing. But for some reason, watching that strange man sweating hard on the screen, sometimes looking deeply disgusted at stubborn stains, and sometimes slightly nodding when he conquered some hidden dirty corner, she almost couldn't help laughing while a strange little ripple spread through her heart. The way he focused on housework, his sharp side profile, and the tight muscle lines in every move, especially when he occasionally bent down and those faint abs appeared. Stop. What are you even thinking? He's a thief. The final frame of the security footage froze on the moment that man turned and left with the cash. Yejikyu hugged her phone and curled up on the couch, her heart beating completely out of rhythm. In her mind, it was like someone had hit replay, looping the scene over and over again.